Good morning. Greetings to everyone. It's Rascal, the Ragamuffin Soldier, coming from you from my most favorite park. And my camera and all that stuff ain't the best, but life goes on, and that's we used to making the best out of what we got and making the best out of what we can do. So this is just nothing new to it. So here we go with this with the topic. So that we need to talk about, and it's a joy for me to talk about myself anyway, because that's what I be talking about most of the time. And it's not just myself, but you see, it's relatable to other things, because we are all in the same boat. We all in the same boat, and the only reason we don't see that we in the same boat is because of other people putting all the divisions on us as people. So we're not in control of anything about us. We just reacting. We react to what these people doing to us, and living a reactionary life is not going to be most of the time. When you're reacting to stuff, it's stressful. So your life is not going to be all stress is not good, man. That's the main point. Stress is not good. If other people making all your decisions for you, you're probably going to be under a lot of stress, because the man who is making the decisions for you is using you to relieve his stress. So you relieving his stress by accumulating it on your back. So if as long as you're on the people, you're gonna feel your stress plus their stress, and it's gonna take more of a toll on you because you're at the bottom of the ladder. So that's just the way it is. And so black folks, that's the way we've been living. We've been the one at the bottom of the ladder dealing with most of the stress. And it's been set up from a long time ago. This thing that we are living now as African people, it's been set up from a long time ago. It's just progress and escalate and culminated with slavery. So now slavery was like the apex of our demise, and now we on the other side of the hill trying to recover, because we done got to the worst point of that African people can get to, which is enslavement and bamboozlement and hoodwinkness and all that stuff. Because it's like this. It's like some people, they confuse being smart with being manipulated, and sometimes I guess it could be some of the same. But it's like when a man tell you, "Hey, look up in the sky, look at that," and then when you look back down, he done something behind your back, and you just you're like, what did you do? You'll find out once you looked up, and now you look back down, and things are not the same. And that's kind of what happened to us. He has us looking up into the sky. Oh, look at Jesus. And then by the time we look back down, we out of Africa, we out of everything that God put us into, and we into everything that He got us into. So, and then they say that, oh, we stupid. And we black people, we could appear to be stupid because we from the richest continent, and we are the poorest race. So it don't add up. So you could look kind of stupid, feel kind of stupid, like what the hell happened? How can I be from the richest continent and be the poorest race? So it's like that bamboozlement that took place. It's plain. That's why you see, that's why I don't like to talk from Bible, because when you're talking from Bible now, I mean, you can talk from Bible if you want, but I don't do it. I've been around Bible all my life, but I never developed a perspective to talk from Bible because I never had the confidence in Bible. Because Bible can't stand up to questioning. You know, and I'm a man, I like to ask questions about stuff. You know? And when I ask you a question, don't just tell me, oh, God could do anything. So that's not an answer for me when I'm looking for a real answer. You know? No, it's not God can do everything. So, you know, I mean, and God could do anything. That's them kind of answers there. Those are like Christian answers and Bible dread answers, and you know, that's why they always sound away when they talk to you, because they don't come to you with a reality perspective. They come to you with something that you gotta you gotta believe. So as long as you gotta believe, you're gonna be in a problem, because you know, belief is not something that's solid that you can you can wrap your brain around. It's just something that, you know what I'm saying, you can believe it and it gives you a feel good feeling, but it might not even be true. So, you know, belief is not, it's not, you know, we need to know what we're going to know, and we need to be able to confirm it. So, if I can't confirm it, you're going to have a hard time with me in them kind of ism, schism kind of philosophies there, because, you know, none of that, all this ism and schism that we live by anyway, most of it was designed against us. You know what I mean? We're not a part of the ism and schism that's going on. The capitalism, the this-ism, the all kind of ism. You know, we mostly are victim of the ism and schism. So we got to find a way to get out of the ism and schism, because the ism and schism don't benefit African people. You know, we too much of a victim of it, and we're going to be a victim of it because we didn't help to develop any of it. You know, we didn't help to develop any of the isms and schisms that we are living by, and our forepaw parents weren't a part of none of it, so we can't even relate to it really, because, you know, our foreparents never told us anything about any of these isms and schisms that we're living by. You know, we come up in it now, and we got to figure it out. You know, and it's a good thing we had Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey put us on a proper footing. You know, Marcus Garvey said, look to the east. Look to the east for the king. And the king come, Haile Selassie, and he put us on proper footing. You know, the things that he say out his mouth, the actions that he take, you know, just the way he carry himself as the emperor. You know, he is who he is, because, you know, there is a certain decorum. You see, there is a certain decorum that comes with kingship, that comes with emperorship, that comes with, you know what I mean? There's a certain decorum that you have to have on them high posts there. It's not something where you can be any kind of person and be king of kings, lords of lords, and conquering lion. You know, it's not any kind of person can fulfill that role. That's a special role for somebody, a special person. You know, so Selassie I come to help us free our minds from these thousands of years of invasion, thousands of years of conquering. You know what I mean? Because Selassie ain't never been conquered, so he can tell us how to do it. You know what I mean? He can bring us back to our right mind, because African people, we're not in our right mind. We're in a mind that these people developed and gave us by the intimidation that we got to live by. You know what I mean? And the harassment that we got to live by, and the intimidation that we got to live by as African people. You know, that's all it is. You know, we living as a conquered people, and people on top of us, you know, and people on top of us taking advantage of us, because that's what they used to doing. You know, they don't take away, they don't reduce us down now to the poorest race. And what else they gonna do? You know, it's like Bob Marley said. Now you get what you want. Do you want more? You know, you don't got everything you want now. And it's funny, you know, it's funny because people be telling me, And that's why I say I don't even need no Bible, because this thing right here is just a common sense thing. And so if I'm going to sit down and ask myself the question about these people, and I'm going to ask myself a question like, really, these people, they act like they're so righteous now, and they have the key on righteousness. You know, they know all about, and everybody is savage, and this and that, and they're so righteous. But I ask myself, these are the most vicious, killing, enslaving, righteous people I ever seen. Now, when did they find out about all this Jesus, and before or after the enslavers? When did they find out about it really? Because if it's before, they sure didn't do a good job of being an example. Because the only way now they want to set the bar on righteousness after they don't do all the wickedness they can. So you're like, wait a minute here. When did these people find out about all this righteousness and Jesus and all this? Before they kill off everybody and enslave everybody, or afterwards? And so you can see, well, it don't add up, because you can just say, well, the conqueror, he conquered you, and now he got you on Jesus. Because that's what conquerors do. You know, they have to put you in a frame of mind so you can live a conquered life. And that's part of the reason that they got you on this Jesus, because when you look up at Jesus, you can see your conqueror's face. And so once you see your conqueror's face, you know you could relate him with a higher power, because he done made himself into your conqueror and your God, and he had a way to enforce it on you. So that's how you see him as now. And so a lot of the times you can't even tell African people nothing about this thing, because we're so indoctrinated with it that we think that, oh man, you know, every Sunday we go to church, and when we all get to heaven, we will do this. And let me tell you something, man. The people that's telling you about heaven never been to no heaven. They ain't never been to no damn heaven. The people that's telling you about hell ain't never been to no hell. How they know so much about it? You ask yourself that question. How do we know so much about heaven and hell when nobody ever been there to come back and tell us anything about it? I ain't never met nobody who's been to hell or been to heaven to say, and nobody has. Nobody has met anybody who's been to heaven or been to hell. So, you know, you can see, if you're going to think about it from a logical standpoint, you can see it's just a concept. It's just a concept. Because nobody really knows about it. The people that told us about it don't know nothing about it. So, it's a hell of a way to go live your life by something you don't know nothing about. You know? And then people going to treat you away because you're trying to tell them you can't see it. You know? And if you can't see it now, you're supposed to be a bad person because you don't believe in what they believe in. And that's the whole thing about Christian people. It's like, if you don't believe what they believe, let's think religious people on the whole. Religious people on the whole. If you can't believe what they believe, they're going to try to kill you. So sometimes you just got to leave them alone with their religion and let them have it, because you see that they're not going to change their mind about what they believe, and you can see their attitude, you know. So you just leave that alone. It's like Bible dread the same way, you know. Bible dread the same way. I used to hear big Bible dread say things and stuff. I know I couldn't get my brain around none of that. The only way I can see Rastafari is through tradition, through my ancestral heritage, you know, through my ancestral heritage. Because when it comes right down to it, Rastafari don't need European tradition to validate it. Rastafari was before European tradition. European tradition 2,000 years old when they start taking over this world and doing this stuff. African tradition is over 5,000 years old. So, you know, and African tradition is solid. You know, it's not a conqueror's tradition. You know, it's a solid foundation for a life that people want to live. You know, with a God, a goddess, and a godchild. It's a balance in nature. You know, it's not Father, Son, and Holy Ghost where you throw away the woman and you get real aggressive and try to own everything and bump everybody out the way and get, you know what I mean? Because Christian people, these Bible people, these religious people on the whole, if they don't agree with them, it's trouble, because you have to agree with them so they can work that shit on you. You know? And so they know that you don't agree with them and they ain't gonna be able to work that shit on you. So the next thing is to get rid of you. And you know, they lose them Christianity right away, anytime, the moment you don't agree with them. So you can see this Christian thing is a way, you know? It's a way. They don't wait for you to come to Christianity. They don't wait for you to see, you know what I mean? They bombard you and get aggressive and then they carry that over into an aggression against you if you don't agree with them. Yeah, they don't care about none of that religion no more. It's like they get real aggressive and they forget all about their religion. So religious people, and most people get into it because it's just traditional anyway. Your parents take you to it and you take your kids to it, and it just come down the line like that. Half the people that go through the system like that don't even believe half that stuff. They just doing it out of tradition. You know, it's like they just they don't realize that we don't even know what happiness is. You know, we don't even know what happiness is. We're living in blitz. Ignorance is blitz. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even we haven't even embraced the position we living in. We still giddy and giddy and messed up from we're still going through it. You know, look at the TV. We're still suffering from post-traumatic slavery disorder. The youth them, post-traumatic slavery disorder. You know, as soon as they see the police, they're ready to run and they ain't done nothing. For real. The youth them, they're ready to run and they ain't done nothing. So you know we're still suffering from post-traumatic slavery disorder, you know? And we're going to be living that way until we find a way to establish a society for ourselves, where the youths them can walk down the street without being intimidated, you know? Because they could be their African self, you know? That's the whole problem. These youths, they're living in European society and they can't be them African selves. And as soon as them try, they end up in jail, they end up getting shot, they end up on some negative situation. So the youths them living out of their DNA and nobody is telling them anything about it. They just wondering, oh, everything I do, I get bumped upside my head. Because you're living outside your DNA. Your parents don't even tell you that because they don't know it. They're living outside their DNA too. And everybody, all of we African people, we're living outside of our DNA and we're wondering why we have it so hard. We can't even unite with each other. We can't talk to each other. You know what I mean? Every time you try to talk to another black man about something, you're going to end up in an argument. And you know what? This is a black man that never read anything African, never read an African book, never been into African history, but you can't tell him nothing because he feels like he bigger than you, and he, you know, I'm in a European society and I know all this European stuff, and you know, that's what this society needs, and you know what I mean? So he's not even seeing himself, he's just seeing his European self. He's not even seeing nothing about his African self. So you can't tell us nothing, you know what I mean? It's a hard thing, it's a hard time, it's a hard thing, but you know what? It's the pioneers of this thing is who gonna end up surviving. The pioneers who end up seeing Africa as the homeland, because Babylon can't last forever. Babylon's stand cannot last forever. Babylon is built on a lie. And one thing about a lie, it's gonna fall apart. And that's what's happening now. The world is falling apart because it's built on a lie. And when it's built on a lie, A lie is not a foundation. You know what I mean? A lie is not a foundation to build nothing on, because a lie is going to crumble down eventually. A lie got a lifespan. That's the problem with a damn lie. It's got a lifespan, and so when it reaches the end of its lifespan, it's going to crumble down. So you can't build nothing based on a lie, and that's what these people done. They built up the whole world based on a lie. You know, that's why that's what Bob Marley said. It's guiltiness rests on their conscience. You know, the guiltiness rests on their conscience because they live in a life based on false pretense. You know what I mean? They're pretending to be something they're not. So they got a life built on false pretense. You know? And so they got to down press you and oppress you now to keep that image, that false pretense image now, because it's not real. So if it was real, they wouldn't need a gun and down press you and do all this kind of stuff to you, because you would be able to see it without somebody pointing a gun in your face. So now they down press you and oppress you so that they can live a life. And so it can't last forever, because, you know, everybody seeing it exposed now. You know, everybody seeing it exposed. And it's causing a fuss, you know, because when you know what I mean? When you start to make people feel like a damn fool, you know, you know what I mean? Because you believe something for all these years, and now you find out that, oh man, I can't believe I believed and lived by all that crap for so many years, wasted my life, and you know what I mean? And so that's like what Bob Marley say again. You feel like bombing the church when you find out that the preacher is lying, you know? And so, you know, I mean, when Rastaman talk about bombing the church and burning and looting, it's not something that's literal. It's a mind thing. You know what I mean? You know, no, that's how we bomb in the church. Is by exposing the lie that it's telling. You know what I mean? Because we're not trying to kill nobody. We're not killers. We're Rastafarians. You know, we're not killers. We don't have to do all these things to do anything. You know, all we do is try to talk the truth the best way we know it. And you see a Rasta man, if he might talk and somebody could come correct him, he's going to stand corrected. He's going to stand corrected. But religious people and Bible dread people, boy, them here to be wrong, and you can't go correct them and tell them nothing about how them wrong, because it's going to come bring a negative reaction. That's the whole difference, you know what I mean? Irish and dread, we're ready to learn. Excuse me. I mean, first of all, you cannot be Rasta without acknowledging Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is the inspiration for Rastafari. Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is the inspiration for a whole lot of things. You know what I mean? Because when you hear conscious black people talk, they don't open up their mouth unless they talk about Marcus Garvey. You know? So Marcus Garvey is who opened up this mental situation for us so that we can look past our indoctrination as ex-slaves. You know? Marcus Garvey was an educated man. So Marcus Garvey was a prophet, you know. Marcus Garvey see Selassie coming a mile off before anybody else, you know. So he sees Selassie coming a mile off before anybody else, and he tell us about, here comes our king, you know what I mean, the king of kings, because Africa done lost all the rest of its kings. So it's only the king of kings left, you know. Luckily, he ain't never been conquered, and he bring the example for us to follow. You know, he set the bar. That's the man who supposed to set the bar on righteousness. Selassie set the bar on righteousness. Not these blood-sucking, money-hungry vampires. After they don't get what they want, no, they're gonna set the bar on righteousness. You know, that cannot work, because you know what I mean. That's why you gotta tell the children the truth. Tell us the truth that we living under a conquered situation, and we live in a conquered life. Just tell us the truth. Don't tell us nothing about no Jesus did this and Jesus set this up all up. You know what I mean? Jesus didn't set this all up, you did. You know what I mean? You took a big gun and bump and blow and did everything till you get what you wanted. So don't keep telling people about no Jesus, because you didn't do nothing based on Jesus. The only thing you do with Jesus is try to clean up your act. You know what I mean? You try to use Jesus to clean up your act and act like, oh, now you're so righteous and you're setting the bar and got everybody on Jesus because you got the power to do that. So, you know, when we wake up and realize that Selassie is the guy. Not Selassie ain't no guy. Selassie is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. But you know what I'm saying? Selassie is the man to set the bar on righteousness. You know? Selassie is the man to set the bar on righteousness, not these people. And so you can see Selassie work, and you can see what him say and how he set that bar. You know what I'm saying? You know, so Selassie ain't never had to kill nobody for nothing, except him when he's defending himself. You know what I'm saying? Selassie is a self-defense hero. He's not an aggressive, knock people out the way hero. He's a helper. You know, he's a helper. He's an empathetic person. You know, he's a sympathetic person. You know, he's the most rounded person on the ever come this way on the face of this earth. You know, so he's the one qualified to set the bar on righteousness. You know, we letting the wrong people set the bar on righteousness for us, and then we wonder why the world is getting worse and worse and worse every day we wake up. You know what I mean? Every day you wake up, you're in a worse situation because we got the wrong people who is setting the bar for us. You know, and when they set the bar, they tell you they're setting the bar on righteousness, but they're really setting the bar on wickedness, because that's where we're getting all the wickedness. See all this stuff that these terrorist people doing, and chopping people's head off and doing all this stuff that they're doing out there. They didn't make none of this stuff up. All this stuff that they figure that they can do it because they know about history from other people doing it. You know what I'm saying? Other people doing it. So they look like they're setting the bar on righteousness, but they're really setting the bar on wickedness. You know, and that's why the world can't get no better. And that's why we need we need Selassie guidance and vision to change this world. But it's not going to change if African people can't accept it first. You know, if African people can't accept Selassie first and accept his vision for the world and accept his vision for Africa and for us as black people, nothing is going to change, because we're going to keep following the wrong example. You know what I mean? We're going to keep following these money-hungry, bloodthirsty vampires, and all they're going to do is set us up and keep getting richer and richer for themselves. Because, you know, just because, you know what I mean, I say European all the time, but these people that make all these rich Europeans that makes all this money, they're not really making money. They're not going to share it with the rest of the poor Europeans, really. You know what I mean? These European people, if they didn't get rich when the getting was good, and they're down here with us now poor, I mean, they still got a better situation, because, you know what I mean? These Europeans quicker look out for each other than they're going to look out for anybody else. You know what I mean? That's why they're going to, you know, that's why they're going to get Greece out of the problem that they're in. You know, look at Greece. One time they was the most powerful country in this world. Now you hear that they're in financial problem. That's what I'm saying. You know, this thing right here, it's not a solid thing. It's going to keep changing. You know, and so we got to get in there, African people, and help some of this change to go our way now, because we're not bamboozled and hoodwinked anymore. So, you know what I mean? This thing is going to keep changing, and we have an opportunity now as African people to get in there and help some of this change to go our way, because, you know, that's how it is. You know, the people who are going to get rich, they done got rich, and so they don't really care now, because they can do whatever they want. You know, that's the point they was trying to get to, and then they at that point now. They got everything they want. So they're really not as aggressive as they used to be with us, you know what I mean? Even though they're still aggressive and they're still, you know what I mean? They're still aggressive and they're still, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're still aggressive, but they're not killing us off like they used to, you know? It's just, it's just them. These opportunities kind of thing, you know. When they see the youth getting out of the line, the youth make a little mistake, now they come down on the youth hard and the youth end up getting dead because, you know, it's just the way the system goes. You know, black people don't get no respect out here because we're coming out of slavery and, you know, we're coming out of slavery because them put us in slavery, you know. We're coming out of slavery in ignorance and all this nonsense because it's them put us in it. It's them put us in it. And you know, it's a hell of a thing when somebody go and cut you. Them cut you and then they turn around and ask you, why the hell is you bleeding on my carpet? Partner, I'm in your house and you cut me. Where the hell else am I going to bleed? You know? So, they're mad at we because them turn we into slaves and now we acting like ex-slaves, so you know what I mean? But it's you made we that way. It's you made us that way. And you know, and you're not going to spend any money trying to get us out of it because people all over the world now looking for reparations. Them looking for reparations from all the slavery and all the things. Them looking for reparations and them realize this, it's not going to be kumbaya out here in this part of the world. You know what I mean? Because we too far, you know what I mean? It's too far gone. It's not going to be kumbaya out here. It's not going to be kumbaya until black people could establish manhood and nationhood. You know? That's when this could be kumbaya because respect is something that you got to earn for you. Nobody respect you because they're sorry for you. You know? Respect is something that we're going to have to earn as black people. So the way we earn it is with the most respected black man on the face of this earth, Selassie I, Rastafari. So it's just sort of thing though, you know, and we don't need a whole lot of Bible to validate Selassie I, because Selassie I coming out of 4,000 years of history, 4,000 years of natural African history, you know, not colonialism and mercantile system and a bunch of European impressed things on top of him, you know what I mean? He coming out of a pure African perspective, you know? So we don't need Bible and European perspective to justify our African perspective. You know, our African perspective is justified already on its own. You know, it's a whole the European perspective. The Europeans take the African perspective, the Egyptian perspective to validate their perspective. So you know what I mean? They use Africa to validate their perspective. So we don't need to go back and now take their perspective to go back and validate Africa again. Because Africa is the perspective, it's the foundation. So they validated their thing off of our thing. So we don't have to go backward on nothing. It's forward ever and backward never. Rastafari, you know? That's just how we go. No, it's forward ever because we building on our forward, on our forward momentum. Even though we had to go backwards to find our forward momentum. So, you know, that's how it is, you know. Rastafari building on its forward momentum. Because, you know, you know, and you can go back and find all these books that these people write this Bible out of, you know, it's not, you know what I mean? Some of them, they don't destroy them and all that stuff because, you know, like them say, them work in them deception and they don't want you to see these other books and where them come from. So, you know what I mean? But you still can find some of them, you know what I mean, if you want to go look. You know, and I'm not going, you know what I mean? Little more, I'm going to have books out here, and one of the first books I'm going to come out here with is the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. Because if you're black and you're not developing your black consciousness, it's there, so you have to start. That's where you have to start. You're not to start with no Bible. You have to start with the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey is the inspiration for Rastafari, you know? So once you start there, now you pick your inspiration up and now you can go. You know what I mean? You can go. Because from there, you're going to want to read more about other things. You know? So that's just how it is. You know what I mean? And to now, Selassie is here. And Marcus Garvey done prophesied he was going to come. You know? We see him, the Rasta man. We love him. and we gonna be aiding and abetting his views, his vision, and his ways. So, you know, it's just for us now to accept who we are and be Rasta as African people and watch our liberty change into who we are, you know, because these people not going to bring us food and everything that they're bringing us forever and put it in a supermarket and put it in a store so that they can make money. Pretty soon life is going to have to go back to living, planting your own food and having your own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because this stuff can't last forever, you know, it can't last forever. It's just that these people making money now and they're trying to keep it that way. But eventually people are going to have to go back to a self-sufficient way of living in communities, you know, and being a part of each other's life. This way of living where you don't even know your neighbors and you've been around them for 5 years, you know, because everybody is trying to live and put their nose up in the air on everybody. So you don't even want to talk to your neighbors properly. And so nobody really know anybody. This kind of living can't last forever. So people are going to have to get back to the real living. And so if you're not going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be ready for that, it's more sufferation. You know, it's going to be more sufferation because the Creator created this world for us to live a certain way. So just because these people take it over and have us live in a certain way, don't mean that the Creator's way is null and void. The Creator's way would never be null and void. Because it's how things are meant to be, you know. And so we have to. That's the whole thing about it. Things are not the way it's supposed to be, and so the world is shutting down. You know, it's more and more shutting down, more and more killing, more and more negativity, because you know the bar hasn't been set right on this thing. So you know what I mean. It's like when you're saying one thing and doing another, and people notice that, them lose respect for what you're talking about. That's the whole thing, you know. You're saying one thing and you're doing another, people lose respect for your whole. And Selassie, I never upon that level there. Everything Selassie I say, him do. You know what I mean? You know? So, he's the most righteous man, let me put it that way. Most righteous man, most dignified man, most upful man. You know what I mean? The most everything good man on the face of this earth. And so, you know, that's just how the message. That's just the message. You know, you can't find one blemish on Selassie record, except you're going to when the European come tell you something. You know what I mean? But as an African, from an African perspective, you would never see that. You know what I'm saying? So, Selassie is perfection to I and I. So. That's just how we go, you know what I mean? The kings are kings, the lords of lords, conquering lion, Selassie, Rastafari.